Welcome to UK Business Show, UK's premier business show where we feature business thought leaders, high achievers, and industry experts. Today's episode is brought to you by World Outsourcing Solutions Limited, a company that specializes in helping executive business owners with virtual assistant services and business growth systems. Here's your host.
Hello everybody, welcome to the show. I'm Trevor Stockwell and with me today is Adit Jain. Now, Adit is a co-founder and the CEO of Lena AI, which is a SaaS HR service delivery product for enterprises. In a nutshell, it helps HR teams save time, but it does a lot more than that. Lena AI works with multiple platforms, including Oracle, SAP, Workday, Microsoft 365, as well as a lot of others. And at the moment, there's more than 3 million employees worldwide that use Lena at clients such as Nestle, Puma, AirAsia and Coca-Cola. So they're doing something right. Here to help us think more like our customers to scale our success, it's Adit Jain. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me today.
It's brilliant to have the opportunity to kind of learn from you and just get some insights as well. I like the way you approach business, the way you're obviously successful as well. So there's all things that everybody listening can learn and benefit. It's just going to be fun, I know. So maybe just to kick us off, start somewhere, elaborate a little bit about who Adit is. What's your journey been to this point so far?
Absolutely. So, I'm basically a person who likes, I'm mostly a practical guy, right? I like to solve problems. I'm an engineer. I've done my undergrad from IIT Delhi. It's a top technology institute in India. And, I just love solving problems. When I completed my undergrad, I was really, bit by the startup bug. I wanted to build something of my own, right? So I got together a couple of my friends and we decided to not join our jobs. All of us had job offers. We decided not to join them, and we started working on our own idea. Initially we were working on something called ChatterOn, which was a horizontal platform that enabled anyone to create chatbots without writing a single line of code. So it's like any developer, any company, any startup, any business can come in and build a chatbot for their website, Facebook Messenger pages, Twitter handles, and do use cases like customer support, marketing, and sales. Right. Within the first 2 years, we scaled from zero to over 30,000 businesses, and there were lots and lots of chatbots being built using the ChatterOn platform. Unfortunately, in 2017, we realized that a lot of these people are not, our retention rates were low, and they were not giving us, like, they were not paying us a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
So we were definitely missing something there. So to figure that out, we spent a lot of time trying to understand what are our customers doing on the platform. And we realized that there is that small segment of our customers, which is basically 1,000+ employee companies who are using ChatterOn to build internal HR and IT bots. And that's the birth of Lean AI. When we did research, we figured out they were basically trying to solve for employee time, right? As organizations grow, there's so many people, so many systems, so many applications, so many different verticals that people spend a lot of time just searching for information. And we wanted to solve that access to information problem by building a Siri for the enterprise, or like a Jarvis for employees. And that's the birth of Lean AI. And fast forward to today, we have over 300 plus customers across over 150 plus countries of the world, and 3 million plus employees who use Lena every day to save their time and have a great experience with the organization.
Yeah, well done. Congratulations on where you are so far. I know it's not the end of the road by any means, but it's really good. Lots of things I could pick up on just from what you've shared on there. Like, the key is solving problems, isn't it? Everybody, in a sense, that gets into business knows that to some extent. Always good to be reminded that yes, that's why we're here. Lots of people have solved our problems. That's who we give money to, really. So it should work the other way as well. So that's really good, and I like the fact that you approach it from that perspective. It's interesting, so Lena also sort of helps with employee engagement as well. It's kind of another aspect of it. Just share a little bit about how it does that, um, first of
Oh,
all.
absolutely. Absolutely. So the primary use case that we launched Lean AI with was finding information, right? Basically, employee needs help with, let's say, time off. Want to have a question? Okay, is cataract operation included in my benefits? How do I add a beneficiary, to my insurance policy? You have any kind of question, instead of going to the HR team, you go to Lean AI, you ask the question, and you get an instant response, right? So that was the main use case we launched Lean AI with initially. Now, as we continue to grow in 2019, as we onboarded these customers, uh, the CHROs, or chief human resource officers of these companies, came to me and said, "Okay, Adit, employees love Lean AI. They're using it every day, every week, every month to ask HR questions. Why can't, instead of the employee asking questions, why can't Lena ask them a few questions and help us predict attrition?" And that is where it started off all as an experiment 3.5 years ago. And I'm proud to say today we have over 1.5 million people doing engagement surveys or engagement conversations with Lena AI, actively. And Lena is able to, with more than 84% accuracy, is able to predict attrition in those organizations. So if 100 people are predicted as unhappy, or are at a risk of attrition by Lean AI, more than 84% of them, or more than 84 of them, will actually attrite if we don't do anything about it. So it's been an amazing journey. And that's how Lean AI helps with employee engagement, because Lean AI tells you problem areas in the organization, and also people who are unhappy, so you can go back and talk to them and fix those issues, uh, you know for the organization.
Yeah, I mean, data is like gold, isn't it? Really, if it's used well. So you're really facilitating bringing together a lot of insights, and then the AI aspect is really good, to get the intelligence on that as well. One of the things I liked when I was reading through, about what you guys do, you've got a sort of continuously creating and evolving sort of culture. The product is doing that, but also it's something that you focus on personally and professionally, but also within the team, isn't it? How have you sort of managed to build that culture within the organization?
Absolutely. So if you look at it from a perspective of keeping the customer at the center of everything, it becomes important to continuously evolve, right? Uh, as I told you earlier, as I mentioned earlier, right, solving problems and solving customer problems is at the center of everything that I do, and everything we do at Lean AI, right? So when we were smaller, there were 10 customers, for example, right? When there are 10 customers, from the founder to the last person, everybody knows every customer, and is like hands on to solve all the problems that customer has, right? So when you have little number of, or less number of customers, now as you grow, now with 300 enterprise customers, it's become impossible for me to be able to know everyone's every problem, right? So as an organization, we must evolve our culture, our processes, our systems, to be able to support a continuous way of maintaining the best services, the best experience for our customers, their employees, and their HR teams. So evolution becomes an extension of just doing what you started your company for. In our case, it was to help HR teams save time and money, and to provide a great employee experience. If you keep that at the center of everything, you will all automatically continuously evolve everything, not just your culture, your teams, your people, your systems, your processes. Everything will be in a constant motion of improvement, or just change to support your two ambitions, or what you are there for, the customer.
Yeah, they're like the anchors, aren't they? Once you've defined what they are, the reason why you're in business, what you're trying to solve, how do you then keep them as the foundation? Because there is a tendency to drift, to get
Okay.
distracted. How do you manage to do that yourselves?
Absolutely. So I think it has to be extremely, top led. In every conversation, in every communication, in everything, In every decision I make, I ensure that we answer these two questions. The first is how it's going to help HR team save more time and money. And second, how can we make a better experience for their employees, right?
Yeah.
That's it. That's what every decision that we make, if it is negatively impacting any one of these two, we don't do it. Flat, simple, right? If it is positively impacting both of them, great. If it is positively impacting at least one of them, then we actually go ahead and do it, right? But I will not have a conversation with anyone if they haven't evaluated its impact on any of these two things. So it has to be driven from the top. It becomes a part of daily conversations. It becomes a part of water cooler conversation. It becomes a part of the board conversation as well. And that's when you know that you will never lose, because you always have your focus on what's important for the customer.
Yeah, yeah, that's really good. It's the balance, isn't it, of having sort of blinkers on in the right way, so that you don't look at everything that's going on around and try and solve everything, but also not be too narrow-minded and focused that you're not aware of the marketplace changing and everything else. So it really is. It's why one of the challenges to leadership, really, isn't it? It's getting that balance and then making sure it's regularly communicated. I think that's
Absolutely.
such a key thing. Um, One of my mentors, John Maxwell, he often says that vision leaks. So it's something you have to kind of re-emphasize, reinforce
Yep.
frequently, as much for our own kind of focus as well as everybody that's sort of in the team and working for us. So, yeah, lots of wisdom in that. Makes a lot of sense. Hopefully, everybody listening is nodding, going, "Yeah, I know I need to do that," or maybe that's where I've slightly gone off track a little bit,
Yeah.
and that's what I need to focus on. Could be a good takeaway for everybody at the moment. But keep listening, because we haven't finished the conversation yet. It's all good stuff. So you've got some big clients now, which is really good. You've grown really well, got lots of investments. Some of the challenges early on, though, you sort of mentioned or hinted to the fact that you were listening to the clients that you had, and then realised actually this is how they're using Lena, and this is sort of what they want to use it for. What were some of the challenges that you've overcome, kind of in the early stages, before you got to the point where you were then able to scale the business?
Absolutely. So I think pre-product market fit. So I call this before the product market fit or pre-product market fit, right? I think the biggest challenges that we faced as entrepreneurs is just existence, right? Because you're at that place where you want to do something and build something, and you don't know whether what you're working on is actually is a product market fit yet or not, right? And you have to keep the lights on, all of that together.
Yeah,
So especially for SaaS businesses or software SaaS businesses, what I recommend and something that worked really well for us was the fact that we were able to do paid pilots. Now this is very important, right?
yeah,
When you're talking about Coca-Cola was one of our first 10 customers, right? Think of a small team being able to get land a client as big as Coca-Cola, right?
yeah,
So one of the key things that we cracked early on is to know that nobody in an enterprise is gonna trust you with your money on day one. Nobody, right? And it's true. You know it. I know it. For someone in a large corporation who's basically being asked to de-risk all the time, nobody's gonna hand you a check of hundreds of $1,000s or millions of dollars for you to create them software, right? So what works really well is you have to earn the trust. You have to understand their position, and then you have to earn their trust, right? Understand what is it that their goals are, right? Understand. So like our persona, we sell to CHROs, chief human resource officers, VP of HRs, and directors of HRs, right? And their one of their key areas is always, how do we improve employee experience? And second is all about how do we save HR time or basically reduce HR costs, right?
yeah,
We understood that, and then we started offering pilots to prove that we can actually do what we are saying. Now these can be $10,000 pilots, $15,000 pilots, $30,000 pilots, or even $5,000 pilots. Nobody cares. You should take money for those pilots in terms of time and effort. Any company who thinks that, or anybody who thinks that that problem is actually a big problem for them, will easily pay you $5,000 or $10,000 or maybe even more for a pilot, right?
Yeah.
So take that pilot money, show them what you can do for them, and close them post that, right? That is one specific thing I can tell you worked amazingly well for us. Even today, when we go and unlock a new geography, right? So we recently opened up an office in Latin America. Now, for us to be able to get local customers in Latin America, companies with more than 1,000 employees, 5,000 employees in Latin America, we are again following the same. We are saying we'll go in, we'll do a $10,000 pilot with you, we'll show you our value, and then once we've shown our value is when we'll talk about a year-long contract. So I think that's one learning that is, that's very important, and I'd like to, share with the audience when if they are starting up a software SaaS business.
Yeah. Yeah, and the principle really is quite universal in lots of different ways, which is really good. And I suppose even there's the trade-off to some extent, but even if you do a $10,000 pilot and you actually spend 20 grand, time and effort, if you weigh it up well enough, it's still a good investment from your company's perspective. If you win the
Absolutely.
contract, isn't it? And if you don't necessarily win that, you've learned a lot of the process of why didn't that work? How can we change that for next time? So yeah, if you can
Exactly.
look at it that way, um, you can make it work for you. Yeah, and it's also like the potential client has got skin in the game as well, isn't it? So that they're more invested. They understand. You are trying to solve their problems. You're not just they're trying to sell something that isn't relevant to where they are. It's a really good
Exactly.
approach. Yeah, and obviously it works. You've found a way that it works. So it's good. So anybody that's going to pitch to Coca-Cola or any of the biggies, obviously there's more to it than that. But that's a really good approach. And as I say, we can all embrace that one way
No,
or
so they're just two steps, right? So any big company have two steps: understand your buyer persona, understand their problems, and
yeah,
figure out a way to tell them how you can solve their problems, right? Their KRAs are your KRAs at the end of the day, right?
yeah,
So once you've understood that, give them a plan to help their KRAs, and then tell, don't say I want you to sign a year-long contract. Say that I want to do a pilot, and I want to prove to you that we can do this. That's it. I'm not asking you for $1 million commitment. I'm not asking you for $100,000 commitment. I'm just asking for $10,000, $20,000 and your time, of course, to
yeah,
make it successful. That's it.
yeah. No, that's really good. And then you had some challenges to overcome, kind of when you got to the point where you wanted to scale it up. Sort of the post product market fit, as you put it. Share a little bit about that, if you would. I appreciate your honesty and your openness. We can all learn from your mistakes, from other people's mistakes or challenges and things you've overcome. So it's really great that we always ask guests to kind of share something that they've overcome, because it's encouraging, but also a lot of the problems are sort of generic to some extent across business owners. So
Absolutely. Great question. So, see, I'll tell you one of the things that is always and always will remain a problem is hiring and retaining the right people, right? So what, and it's the most, like, I can't stress enough on this. It is the most important thing that you're going to do as a startup or as a business owner, right? Is hiring and retaining the right set of folks who are going to help you scale your business up, right? So throughout our journey, we've of course made our fair share of mistakes as well in terms of hiring wrong, right? uh, in terms of not hiring the right person at the right time, right? Maybe creating more dependency on us as founders than needed for a particular business unit, or it would be to hire someone who's too senior for a role that is not that is still very hands on and requires a lot of personal input as well, right? A lot of individual contribution.
yeah,
So one of the biggest mistakes I did is never having, or earlier I used to never think about a role in depth, right? I think one thing that everyone who listens to this can do is, before you open a position to hire, write down exactly, what is your expectation out of that role, right? Okay, so for small companies it might be that, okay, their role might keep evolving, etc., but I'm sure there are going to be key parameters that you want to evaluate that person on. Or, okay, you're hiring for customer success, you want to say that, okay, I don't care how they do it. I don't want any churn, zero churn. If I'm so write down the key parameters that you're going to judge the person on, and then when you bring them on, you have to ensure when you interview someone, you have to ensure that you're trying to judge whether that person can do what you've written down, what you've written down there, right? And that will allow you to basically not make some of the mistakes that I made. Uh, you know, we were always, we not always, but many times over, we've done actually places where we hired either too junior, too senior, or different kinds. So having now I do this, having known exactly what I'm hiring for, I can ask those right kinds of questions while in interviews, and also set expectations on what the role is going to entail from the day go. And that helps in building a great relationship between your people who are going to join you, and then also stepping them up for success as they join in. So
Yeah,
that's one key thing that I think early stage post product market fit people can work on.
yeah, yeah. No, that's really good. And I think a lot of the time, it's like very few people are very good at recruiting. First off, unless they really focus and learn or get the right people in, maybe consultants or someone in to help. It's just that's not what you go in business for, is it? Generally, uh, you're going in business for a product or service or something, and part of that is getting enough people and the team involved. So yeah, totally know where you're coming from. I think a lot of the time there's not enough time given to it.
Exactly.
It's rushed through to the point where, well, we need someone.
Let's get
Yeah,
it.
they look the closest person, and yeah, let's see what happens. The downside of that is 3 6 months later, you find it's not a
Exactly.
good fit. It's more expensive. You have to go through the process again. All sorts of different issues. Yeah. So no, I know.
And then you've lost the time. You've lost the time. So there's a lot of opportunity cost also that's lost
Yeah,
if you get the wrong person in.
yeah, yeah. It's having that clarity first of all, like you say, what you're recruiting for, and also within that, knowing what the culture you want to build as well. That informs some of the questions as well, doesn't it? Because you can kind of gauge, are they a good fit? To
Or
some
not.
extent, the challenge is some people say stuff in interviews that is not 100% as accurate. Maybe it's what they'd like to be, but not necessarily what they are. So there is that, you can never completely tell straight off. But yeah, you do your due diligence, get the
Absolutely.
questions ready beforehand that you're wanting answered, really. And then, yeah, stands you in a good place. So good. That's good. That's hopefully saved a lot of people listening a lot of money, and a lot of kind of frustration. Um, just that then you have to make it work in your own business for whatever you're hiring for. But no, that's really good. So we've touched quite a bit on employee engagement, because it's key. It's one of the areas that Lena helps with as well. I think a lot of companies struggle with getting that right connection. I think most business owners understand and nod that, yeah, this is a great thing. Maybe there's quite a few that says, yeah, our employees are engaged, they are committed, they are motivated, and you ask the employees and maybe you get a slightly different response. um,
Yep.
what have you learned within kind of your time using Lena? Anything that people, if they're not yet at the point where they're looking to start using Lena, or they're still deciding what's the best system, how do they approach things, what are some of the aspects to employee engagement that you've seen work, and maybe a few that haven't worked?
Absolutely. So see, there are. I think what we understand of employee engagement is parties and having a place to play in the office premises and all of that, and Friday beer. I don't think it is any of that, to be very honest, right? I think it is an ear that listens to your problems. That ear could be your manager, your leader, your HR business partner, whatever, right? And then takes actions and genuinely cares about your problem and actually takes actions to solve them,
Yeah,
right? I think that goes way, way, way long than just free beer on Fridays. And I have seen companies, because we build software, right, which a lot of companies use, to do engagement surveys as well. Uh, I can tell you this very, very straight, like straight off the bat. Companies which listen well, care for their people, and spend time trying to solve their problems, not just do a survey for a tick in the checkbox, but actually spend time in trying to care and solve the problems as well that they get through the surveys, they go a long way in terms of business growth and profit as compared to people who don't. So the day, see, it's all about mindset. The day you start thinking about people as replaceable, people as as you can just hire and fire, as soon as you have that mentality, you definitely lose. And you need to be caring. You need to understand what their problems are. You need to really care and solve, and that'll give you. I promise you, that'll give you 10x faster growth than anything else, than any of your strategies.
Yeah, yeah. And once people know that you actually sincerely want to listen, and you will consider, if you don't necessarily follow everything they suggest, you'll consider and try and make changes where possible. I think
Yep,
people will talk more, people will share more, people will feel more committed, won't they?
exactly.
As well, most people, I mean, yes, money's important, big salaries are great, but you can't bribe people to stay at a company that they're not happy at. Really,
Yep.
I think most of the people that they'll just think, no, there's other places I can go. So yeah, it really is. And as we touched on, that's not a win-win for anyone, is it? Really, it's all about creating the right culture, getting people engaged, getting them in a good place so they're most productive and they enjoy life. The amount of hours that people give to company and work and stuff, it's just like it's the best part of their day to a large extent from a sort of productivity perspective. So you got to make it count and make it worthwhile for them as well. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Really does. This has been really good for people that want to find out more about Lena, and explore whether it's a good fit for them. What's the best next step for them?
Oh, absolutely. You can open our website, which is www.lena.ai, and you can even write to me. I'm at adit@lena.ai, ADIT@lena.ai.
Okay, perfect. That sounds really good. Thank you for everything that you shared with us. We've touched on a lot in a short space of time. We've actually covered a lot of different other pain points within business, and a
Yep.
good approach to. I think the key thing is coming back to remembering to think like your customer. Uh, Regularly put yourself in their shoes, because so often, we were chatting before we started recording as well. It becomes, when you're running a business, it becomes a lot more about what you can do, and it's not necessarily about whether that's a good fit for them all the time. So that in itself is a good thing to just check. Yeah, where am I on that scale? Really good. And am I looking after people? Am I making things easier for them? And can we improve our system so that we're not looking at lots of different apps to try and get information, but we can get something that brings it all together, saves time and effort, cuts down the frustration as well, doesn't it? And it makes it more functional, more productive. Just from you get access to information quicker. It cuts the frustration down. You get the analytics from the data back from employee engagement. You know what you're looking at. You can interpret data better, or you get someone else that can interpret if that's not your speciality, and then you can make better decisions, can't you? Make informed
Yep.
decisions. So lots of good stuff. I can see why you're successful and why you're helping businesses like you do. So it's all really good stuff. Thanks for being on the show. Thanks for sharing what you have. There's lots more I'm sure we could dig into, some of the challenges and the things you've overcome, but just appreciate your vulnerability and sharing the things that you have, that's got you to where you are now.
Absolutely.
So it's been really good. Thank you.
Thanks for
I did
having me.
appreciate that. And for everybody listening, as we've said, all the things we've touched on, maybe just pick one or two things. Always encourage everyone listening to take action one way or another. Just think, what could I actually do from this discussion, from what I've learned, what I've heard? What's the one thing I can do to step forward, to progress where I am in business, where I want to head to in business? Do I actually need to put the brakes on in a certain area? Divert, move back to where it is, filter everything through the two core or however many core values and focus that you have. Maybe that's the thing you need to just fix your anchor back to where you want it to be. We will leave you to decide all that, but remember that we believe in you and we believe in your potential to grow your business, to be successful, and to make the world a better place. So thanks for joining us, and we will catch you next time.
Thank you for listening to UK Business Show. We will be back to bring you more episodes with success stories and advice straight from the experts. Want more? Check out www.ukbusinessshow.com. Get your free trial of our virtual assistant service today. Just visit www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com. Quote WOS18 or send us an email at support@worldoutsourcingsolutions.com.